What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of kevmacvideos, True Stories. Now, I don't know if this is a hell of a story, but I want to see if I could get y'all to feel me on this one. Now, this takes place in 1991. If you had the pleasure of watching the Fox Hill Mall story that I gave, this story actually falls in the middle of there. August 25th, 1991, I was charged with 4 attempted murders, allowing a passenger to shoot out my car, and shooting in a public dwelling. So I had been going to the county jail since 1986, averaging 2 arrests per year. So I had already been in the county jail 9 to 10 times. Anyway, growing up, a lot of people in our neighborhood played baseball. That was the end thing, was to play baseball. So I played at Summit Field, Ladera Park. And this was 1979, 1980. There was this guy named Brian Jones on the Pirates. Pirates was a good baseball team. They had a coach named Mr. Baltazar. Baltazar was the coach. Him and Mr. Parks, those was the best 2 coaches, hands down. And they had the best teams. So everybody wanted to be on the White Sox or the Pirates, but everybody couldn't make it on the White Sox and Pirates. I started out on the Angels and ended up on the White Sox. This is called the Major Leagues up at Summit Field. And so Brian is a Pirate. Brian Jones grew up in the hood, borderline Ladera, borderline Windsor Hills, and the Overhills, somewhere like 61st and Mansfield. Now, I didn't hang with Brian, Brian didn't hang with me, but I would see him in the hood over the years. Brian attended Westchester High School, and at some point during the mid-'80s, he joined the Psycho Preps, one of those trendy gangs that was going on during that era. We knew Brian Jones as Shank from Psycho Preps. Then he started claiming some 5'9", Cinco Nueve, some shit that was cool with the 60s. And I had these other friends, Sean Ferris that I've known since 6th grade, Dwayne Tucker, I basically raised him from a little kid, and a few other guys throughout the neighborhood that didn't gangbang. These dudes somehow, some way put an elaborate robbing crew together as we ushered into the 1990s. This crew of robbers was on the news almost nightly. They got caught up in a string of 35 robberies. Now let me tell you about BJ. There's this well-known dude throughout the city of LA. You almost can't leave his name out of LA history, LA gang history, robbing, dope. He was one of the biggest jackers in LA at the time. Buford Bates. Depending who you talk to, BJ was this big rolling 60 figure. To others, he was the founder of the 4-6 neighborhood Crips, formerly known as the 4-6 Hustlers. BJ is mentioned in Ice-T's 6 in the Morning song. Back on the streets at the 5 and the deuce. 7 years later, but still had the juice. My homeboy Hen G put me up on the track. Told me he's rolling villain, BJ's got the sack. Bruce is a giant that sees clocking dough. Bebop's a pimp, my old freak's a hoe. Yeah, that song. He was a hustler, he was a jacker, he was known to get his money. He was a swindler, he was a con man, he was very tricky. You may remember BJ from robbing the A-Tray gangsters when he gave them flour instead of cocaine. And they came back. This was an elite crew of the A-Tray gangsters. They come back and put in revenge on a girl mistaken as BJ's sister. Gang members seeking revenge over a drug deal shot and killed 2 teenage girls in a case of mistaken identity. Others may know BJ as allegedly robbing Lil D from Oakland for a large amount of cocaine. Somewhere the streets say about $750,000, $850,000. This took place during the era of when Big Mumbles got killed by the A-Tray gangsters and the retaliation on Joker's family. After this, BJ is ghetto famous. He's mentioned in Ice-T's song 6 in the Morning. All the homies know him, they love him, they trying to put their hands in his pocket. Everybody want BJ to look out for him. Now after BJ runs through this money, he gets caught up in a drug sting. There's a raid on the 4-6 hustlers. BJ goes to jail. BJ got several escapes. I know he had an escape from Wilshire Division, an escape from LAPD 77. I want to say Southwest of the county jail. I'm not sure, but BJ had become known as this escape artist. Now I'm going to bring y'all up to date. When we first get to the county jail, I seen some shit I had never seen before. Now, if you super blood, you Damu this and Damu that, and you were up in there red down, I just didn't see you. I just didn't run across you. Because as the story goes, man, it was hell going up in there with a bunch of Crips. A lot of Bloods had transitioned to the hustler stage. They're getting money, having fun, and raising kids. And then you had some in their early 20s and mid-20s professing to be retired, saying they don't bang no more. And then you had your undercovers. But most Bloods, they all went to the same modules. You had a blood module. They had the blood module, and then in Wayside, they had modules where most of the Bloods would go into the same module. Unless you was this down-ass Damu, this reputable Damu, or you was super loked out blood, it could be an issue up in there. But this time, there's a couple Damus in there. There's a Swan, Ludus Park, a couple other sets, and it's this dude named Daru from Ludus Park, and he's flamed up. Man, he was so flamed up, man, I ain't gonna lie, that shit looked fly. He had on some burgundy Chuck Taylors with some burgundy strings. He had on some burgundy khakis. He had some long pigtails with red rubber bands in his shit. Oh, light-skinned dude, and he got Daru on his neck. It looked like Pyro. And I'm like, whoa, and it's some OG Crips up in there, but ain't nobody sweating nobody. We all going to jail. And it's this other dude, he got his shit taped up. So you can kind of see the transformation, unless you just gonna call dude a buster. But he got his shoes taped up. When we get to processing, come to find out, he had red strings on. And he didn't want to be identified as a Blood when he got up in there. When I bail up in 4800, I see these big-ass Samoans. They got these red strings in their ponytails and their pigtails. They got these long red beads hanging from their neck and shit with red crosses. And I'm like, oh, wow. Because I hadn't seen no Bloods on the main line like that, just flamboyant like that with colors and being in general population. So some dudes my age hit me up, I give it up. They tell me I got some homeboys up in there. I'm like, yeah, who? They tell me Brom, BJ, and Kincaid. I'm like, yeah, where BJ at? They said, BJ in the day room. I'm like, yeah? They like, yeah, he a trustee. I'm like, tell Cuz to come see me. Because I know BJ, and that's the type of guy you want to see when you fresh up in the jail, because he's going to have store, he's going to have pull, because he got a reputable name, and he's a trustee. And so they say, all right, we got you. BJ never comes to see me. So I'm yelling out, BJ, BJ. This one dude comes by my cell, and he said, your homeboy BJ's a rider. BJ done had a squabble. He's getting ready to have another squabble. He's up in the day room right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm feeling good. I'm like, BJ got him? He said, BJ put hands on that nigga. So I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's how you represent. I'm loving this shit. I want to see who he squabbled and who else he got a problem with. And then I see this OG Grape Street dude with a lot of respect up in there. I believe it was Spike from Grape. And we wasn't getting along with Grape like that. So I'm sitting up in there like, damn, we're the homies. And I'm all locked up in this shit. Like, this is claustrophobic type shit, because you don't have nothing but a wall in front of you. You can't see nobody. You can't see shit. So it's just nothing to look at. There's no roof time, no exercise time, no day room time for the regular inmates. And this shit ain't cool, bro. 4800 is different from any other module I had been in, because they had a catwalk going up and down the module. I had never seen no shit like that. And it had this eerie feeling in there. I don't know if it's because of all the rapes that happened in there. I don't know if it was all the stickings and stab. I don't know what it was, but it just seemed weird. And it was very claustrophobic because you're in a cell and there's this big old wall in front of you. So you don't see shit but a wall all day. There's no roof time, no exercise time, no day room for the average inmate. Finally, this dude comes in my cell. He puts his hand around the bars, he smiles, and he says, "Kev Mac." I'm like, "Brian, what's up, homeboy?" He's like, "Nothing, man. I just took this deal for like 5 years for robbery." I'm like, "Oh shit, you in there with Sean and Dwayne Tucker?" He's like, "Yeah, they're my crimies." I'm like, "Wow." So I say, "Where's BJ at, cuz?" He like, "Right here." "Where?" He like, "I'm BJ." I'm like, "Oh shit." So I ask cuz, "Who are you, little BJ, baby BJ?" And he smiles at me and say, "Nah, I'm BJ." Brian done got a little size on him. He's kind of tall and kind of healthy now. But I'm saying to myself, why the hell this fool want to take the homie's name? Does he know how much weight comes with that name? Like the A-Tray gangsters want BJ. The brothers from up north want BJ. Hell, some 60s probably even want BJ. I'm sure the Fidos Hoovers don't appreciate that name because they hate 40s and they hate 4-6 neighborhood. I'm happy to see Brian. You always happy to see somebody from your neighborhood when you locked up. It's almost like we fall in this thing where you want homies to be in jail. Not that you wish bad on them, but you looking for some company, some commonality, some camaraderie. And so when I see cuz, yeah, it's cool, but I'm really disappointed because I want to see Buford Bates. I want to see the BJ. So they ended up telling me they sent me to the wrong cell and sent the other guy to the wrong cell. So we got to swap cells. I go down to the end of this dungeon. I'm talking about the last cell on the tier. And it's Pup from Rolling 100s and Taxman from Ludus Park up in there. I just want to give a shout out to Cuz for staying down and making the hood look good and making a name for himself and making that smooth transition from whatever he was to becoming a Rolling 60. Today's message, be careful what name you choose because it may come with a whole lot of baggage. That's it for today's story, man. I hope y'all wasn't expecting more, but thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. I got more stories coming. Y'all take it easy. Salute. Wow.